the first thing that I'd like to check off the list is just to familiarize people with you. I think a lot of people are familiar with you, but from your niche and a lot of the areas that you specialize in, there might be some gaps in knowledge. So if you wouldn't mind, tell us a little bit about yourself, your history, some of your revelations that kind of took you to where you are right now.
Okay, so I'll be 40 years old at the end of the month, July 31st. And I started powerlifting when I was 17. I did my first competition. And to the surprise of many, I did it raw. Now, here's the thing about raw lifting. Raw lifting was not a thing until 2006. People ask me often why I lift equipped. Well, when I came up in the late 90s, it was the APF, the IPF, the USPF. Every one of those federations were equipped. Ed Cohn did not lift raw ever in his career. It's going to shock a lot of people, but there wasn't raw lifting back then. Now, people would either wear a very loose bench shirt or not use a bench shirt or a deadlift suit, but they always took advantage of what they could do to get the most out of the equipment that they were allowed to use. So that's the way I came up. You had APF multiply, you had USPF, which fed the IPF single ply. So that's what I got good at when I was young. That's what I did. And so I got into powerlifting. I benched 405 when I was 19 at about 190 pounds for the first time, touch and go raw. And I just really got into bench press meets in 99. And then I just fell in love with it. I did some bodybuilding for a little bit of time. And then I just took to powerlifting. In the early 2000s, I did my first equipped meet, so first meet. And I squatted 705. I benched 424 raw. Because again, I didn't know how to use a shirt, so I just benched raw. And then I pulled a 622 deadlift, and then from there on, I was absolutely hooked. Nothing in my life mattered, not girlfriends, not my health, nothing. And so I just went full bore for a very, very long time. And I got myself into a lot of trouble over the years with some injuries that we'll talk about. And I think it's important that people know that the back injury that I suffered, and I'll send you a picture of it. You could post it up to show the before and after. It really is an important thing to talk about because load is cumulative. And I'm a good example of that happening over time. Even if you do think you do the right things with training, there still are consequences to lifting heavy. But going back to the lifting part, I fell in love with it. I just kept doing it. And then I ran into some roadblocks about 2009 when I was running an obstacle course to be a police officer. And I fell on the obstacle course. It was a July morning in Florida, very humid. I was the first one on the course, and I was 270, trying to smoke it and make a good impression because I was going for a scholarship, a police academy scholarship they were offering. So I fell and landed right on my ass, and I knew right away that I broke something, but I got up and I finished the obstacle course and then went and crawled back to my truck and laid in the parking lot for about an hour as the cops came and went and didn't even come over and check up on me as I was laying next to my truck. And then I somehow managed to get my truck and drive home. I got home, I popped a couple Flexeril and slept, and then I went to work that night. But like any smart strength athlete, someone that really cares about their body, I did what they'd all do. I waited about a month. I got on some prednisone, and then I went and hit my first 800-pound plus deadlift in a meet, and my first 1,100-pound squat, and my first 2,600-pound total about a month or two after that happened. But that's when things started to unravel. I still got stronger from that time, but that's when I started to battle back pain. And then the rest is history with Dr. McGill and us connecting. And we can go into talking about that in the second part of my lifting career, if you would, post 2013. But up until that point, my best lifts were 1185 squat, 825 bench, 800 deadlift, 2730 total. 220, that's at 275. At 220, the best lifts were 1030 all-time world record squat, 633 bench, 755 deadlift. And then at 242, I couldn't quite total 2,700 post comeback, but my best total at 242 is 2,651 via 1107, 788, 800 on the deadlift. And so I piddled around for a long time. After the injury, I tried to go down to 242 because it was better on my back. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. But I was able to pre-injury total 2570 at 242. But long story short, post-injury, after working with Dr. McGill, I totaled 2651, barely missing 2700 for the all-time world record multiple times. So not only did I come back, competed in other weight classes and came back down, then almost beat that total by 100 pounds post-injury. And so I've been able to work with some greats over the years, not just with Dr. McGill, Dave Tate, Louis Simmons, Rick Hussey, people like that that mentored me, and I've been able to just call them up and ask them questions. But I've been fortunate enough to be able to work with athletes myself and help people total similar weights to what I've totaled, squat over 1,200 pounds, well into the 2000s raw, 900 pound raw squats. So I've had a unique perspective of being on top for a long time, working on my coaching, being mentored by Dr. McGill, and then putting this all together, writing a degree, and being a clinician myself. A lot of people don't know this, but I first got my massage therapy license in 2002. Oh, really? So I am technically a clinician. So not a back clinician, but I am a McGill Method certified practitioner. And so I do assessments. I did 5 before I talked to you today. So if I get a little bit goofy, I did 5 calls, I should say. I did 5 calls with people concerning back pain. But so if I get a little goofy or wild or say some things that are maybe not the nicest or too direct, I apologize. But the words are just kind of flowing at this point.
Yeah, you've been at it for a minute. I'm trying to imagine you doing soft tissue work on some poor suspecting client. 300 plus pounds of world record, just mashing into those knots and smoothing things out. That's some pain right there.